What's up, Future Millionaires? It's Mike the Investor, and I have another interview for the channel. I brought on a member from iTrustCapital, who is the largest crypto IRA platform in America. And so his name is Jared Feldman. He is a member of the iTrustCapital team, and we're going to briefly talk about what is iTrustCapital, who is iTrustCapital, and why it is still important to have a crypto IRA in today's economy, even with cryptocurrency being the best performing asset class in the past decade. And so before diving into it, definitely grab some free Bitcoin by using the Voyager and BlockFi link down below, where you can earn passive income on your cryptocurrency just for leaving it on the platform. Now let's get ready to dive right into it. All right, guys, so we have a special treat today. We have Jared Feldman, a big member from the iTrustCapital team. He's going to give us a little insight of why iTrustCapital is iTrustCapital and just kind of share some gems and knowledge of his perspective on the crypto market. So, Jared, welcome, man. How are you?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me. How are you?
Man, I'm doing well. Thanks for coming on the channel. It's
It's great
been
to
a
be
long
here.
time coming, right?
Absolutely. I second that.
And so before we kind of get into what I Trust Capital is, kind of let the viewers know who's Jared, because I know you're not just a member of I Trust Capital, you're also an investor yourself, right?
Yeah, correct. I mean, I have an account. I am a member of iTrustCapital, and we're a low cost crypto IRA provider, right? We have a tech platform. We allow people to take their IRAs, whether it be with a current custodian like a Fidelity or a Vanguard, or maybe they have a 401k with a previous job, and they're able to move it onto our platform. There are other people that just have individual checking or savings accounts, and they want to be able to make contributions into an IRA as well. But for me personally, I'm really into crypto. I have a financial planning background, so I've always been really into helping people save and creating priorities around saving. And then I just kind of fell down the crypto rabbit hole, as you can imagine.
Yeah. So when exactly did you get into the crypto space?
2018, I would say it was February of 2018 is when I started really learning more about it. That's when I read a couple of books about crypto as well, and just really started learning more about what it was like and what digital assets are. I think you first just have to learn about what they're trying to get at when they're creating these various blockchains, and then learning about how it impacts the world was really the second thing that I kind of came across.
I would agree. I would agree. All right. So, Jared, we know that I Trust Capital was founded in 2018, but launched in late 2019. Is that correct?
Correct. So 2018 is when the idea really came together. The company was founded by a team of technologists and then a team of gold alternative asset IRA specialists, right? So it's kind of like the perfect storm of a group of people that would get together to do this. There was a big appetite for it, right? People wanted a low cost, transparent IRA platform that had more of a tech edge to be able to do crypto trading inside of an IRA. So that's how the idea came together. They launched a beta in 2019, really stuck to like meat and potatoes kind of assets, right? There was Bitcoin, Ethereum, Bitcoin Cash, EOS, which was kind of like the Polkadot and Cardano back of like 2 years ago during the last cycle. And there was a lot of excitement, right? We had a lot of success, and people really want to do this. And the incumbents in the industry have kind of antiquated pricing models. So I think that kind of gave us an edge, right, in terms of our low cost and how we take pride in keeping cost efficiency, very lean. But at the same time, people want a tech platform. They want to be able to go on there, execute trades, have them settle relatively quickly. Our trades execute and settle within 30 seconds. So I think it all came together over time, and it's been 2 years, and the platform has grown from 30 million to 100 to 300 million at the beginning of this year, and now we're at well over a billion.
And that is crazy. And so, do you have any projected numbers that iTrust Capital has in target for the end of the year, as far as like funded accounts?
I think we're at like 15,000 or so funded accounts right now. In terms of targets, not that I know of, and I also don't think that we necessarily like to get too ahead of ourselves. We I think we thought we would be successful, but I don't think that the management team here ever thought that it would grow the way that it did. And now that it is growing at this rate, now we're getting into a point where it's like, well, what's that growth going to look like? And we don't really have any set numbers on that.
Absolutely. That makes a lot of sense. That make a lot of sense. And so, because relatively, iTrustCapital is still a newer platform, just have seen a tremendous amount of growth. Is that correct?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, just starting in 2019 with the beta, we've been getting more and more people on the platform, but we're making so many changes in terms of being able to make the tech platform more lean, being able to execute the trades even faster. When I started here, we were at 15 minutes, and now we're at 30 seconds when it comes to being able to execute and settle trades. So we take these things very seriously and want to continue to increase the offering and the assets that we have as well.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And so, Jared, what is but before we kind of get into some more nitty-gritty questions of iTrustCapital, what's more of your role with iTrustCapital? How did that kind of start for you?
I'm a director in client experience. I head up the team that is serving as the front end for people who are coming in to learn more about us, right? As I said before, we have people who have like a 401k at Fidelity or a Vanguard, or maybe they have an IRA at another custodian, and they want to take that out of stocks and out of an index or a mutual fund, and they want to get alternative asset exposure into crypto, and they end up setting up a call or reaching out to us. And they speak with someone on our team, right? Whether it be with me, whether it be someone else, another staff member, and they're getting a service in which they get to ask questions about what it's like to onboard to our platform, and then they get answers in terms of what's the best way to go about that. So I'm really on the front line doing that, and more recently, I'm doing more high level things, helping kind of plan out, build out the unit so we can be able to scale and be able to give everyone the kind of customer service that we know that we can.
Yeah, yeah. And so right now, iTrustCapital offers 401k, traditional IRA, and Roth IRA. Is that correct? And
Right. So what we do is we have individual retirement accounts. So they're all IRAs. 401k is something that people have with a current job, or something that they might establish if they're having a solo 401k, if they're a business owner. But for the most part, we're just looking at people who have IRAs, and then people that have a previous 401k with an old job, right? So someone leaves their job, they had a 401k they were contributing to, they want to move it over into an IRA and invest in something besides just stocks and bonds, right? So that's a big part of our value proposition. Another part of it is our people who just want to take cash and be able to contribute directly into an IRA.
yeah, yeah. And so from a person that may not be too familiar, because crypto IRAs have the same IRS regulations and rules that a regular stock and bond one has, right? And so
Mhm.
depending on what your criteria is, not to get into many uh, things here, but it's like a $6,000 that you can, if you're not over 50, it's 6,000, and then you can still withdraw the principal as well. There's certain other acquisitions you can do, as far as first-time home buyers. You have medical expense. There's different things that we can do. So from a investor from the outside looking in, that's not too familiar with how to maybe
Mhm.
use a crypto IRA, because we definitely know you're able to use it for tax-free crypto investing on precious metals and crypto. And so from a outside looking in your words, from a iTrustCapital member, how would you sum that up for them?
I think that you have to look at it from the perspective of, there are really two different kinds of accounts that you can have. You can have a traditional and you can have a Roth. And it really depends what's optimal for you. And then it depends what sort of plan you have. Because if you were part of a 401k with an old job, that might be a traditional, and you have no choice but to keep it as traditional unless you want to convert it into a Roth. Most of our clients prefer to have a Roth IRA, and it really comes down to taxes. So just really high level, the most important part about the IRA is the tax sheltering. So most of our clients, when they're asking questions about it, the kind of account they want to have, they want it to be tax free, not just growing tax free, but come out tax free. And that's where the Roth comes into play. So a Roth is similar to a traditional in that you can put 6,000 per year at most into each, right? So you can put 6,000 into a Roth or 6,000 into a traditional. You can do 3,000 into a Roth and 3,000 into a traditional. But as you alluded to, you can't go over that 6,000. If you're over 50, there's a catch-up provision. You can do $7,000. So that's pretty high level in terms of the contribution limits. But the crux of the matter is the taxability, because the traditional is going to come out taxable at the end. The Roth is going to come out tax free. So most of our clients are like, well, I prefer to be tax free. And then it just becomes, well, is a Roth IRA right for you? Are you eligible, etc.? A lot of our clients just want to take cash and they want to put it into a Roth IRA to get exposure into the crypto markets because they want a tax-free component of their planning. A lot of our clients have traditional IRAs that they're going to keep as traditional and they don't really worry about having a Roth, right? But it seems like most clients would prefer to have a Roth IRA if they can because of the tax-free component on the back end.
Yeah, me personally, of course, I think a Roth makes a lot more sense. I mean, the big difference in simplest terms, of course, traditional is, do you want to pay taxes later? Or, do you want to pay taxes now, which is the difference between the two, right? And so I definitely think a Roth is more beneficial, but of course, it all depends on that individual, of course. And
Mhm.
so for me, I like the aspect that iTrustCapital has been able to add multiple cryptocurrencies in just a short amount of time. And so, kind of talk to me about how that process has been, because it seems like you guys are moving extremely fast, which I think is
Mhm.
a very positive thing for the company.
Yeah, that's a great question. A really good observation. And we take a lot of pride in being able to add assets, at a pretty rapid rate. And we put a real emphasis on increasing the amount of assets on the platform, particularly this year. I think that the limitation was always just technology and also having the right engineers and developers in place to be able to scale a platform like this and have more offerings while being able to have the same sort of efficiency tech wise and execution and settlement on the trades. So if you look at what we've done this year, it's palpable in terms of how much of a difference it is and the rate at which we're adding assets. And it's purely because we've flicked on that switch and have the appropriate technology and people in place to be able to keep adding on assets while maintaining the integrity and strength of the platform. And I think this is just the beginning in terms of our capabilities. Right now we want to add on more assets and we don't want to stop because, clients have a lot more digital assets that they want us to add. But we also want to add functionality, staking, interest rates and lending, maybe even a direct plug-in to DeFi in the future. These are all things that we take extremely seriously. They're just not overnight implementations. And I think a lot of people look at technology, myself included, before, just because I don't have a tech background, more of finance. And I just thought, oh, well, you can just, flip the switch or do that. And technology is actually exponentially more complicated than that. We have a really strong team and we're going to continue to add. And the amount of assets that we have is right now is really a reflection of that.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And so I want to kind of hint to what you're saying because I had a couple questions this here and you kind of already hinted to it. And so when you said about staking, without giving, I know you can't really give a time or maybe approximate ETA, but how soon is that on the roadmap for iTrustCapital? Because I think that's only gonna leverage things and scale things because now you add another way, to make money in the platform tax free, right?
Hmm. Yeah, I mean, I wish I had breaking news to share with you today and to break on the show, but unfortunately, there's nothing imminent to announce on that to the extent that we won't have something like in the next couple of weeks. But it is something that we're in active talks to be able to do. And when you just look at the current environment for staking, right? Coinbase had that wait list, and now they're onboarding people, and the amount of staking options for retail investors is only going to continue to proliferate as staking becomes just firmly engrasped in the crypto space. Particularly, I think that the Ethereum staking is just kind of at such an early stage as well that there are going to be a lot of opportunities for retailers to invest in there moving forward.
Yeah, yeah. And so I guess it's safe to say that iTrustCapital at some point in the future will have staking capabilities inside the platform. Is that safe to say?
There's a tweet out there from iTrustCapital earlier this year that says that we're committed to implementing that, and we really wanted to do it in 2021. So the way that we look at everything is we're all about being competitive, right? our clients are renting our platform. There's no money to come in. We don't charge money to leave. There's no friction, right? So we're all about being competitive. When you look at the way we price everything, the way that we charge our clients and the relationships we have, we're very, very competitive. We want to remain competitive moving forward. So we want to have those things, staking, lending, and all those things. But as of right now, the way we look at it is we would be the first crypto IRA to implement something like that. So we want to continue to lead the way for sure, but it's just not an easy fix.
Yep, I understand. I understand completely. And so another question I kind of have for you, Jared, is when it comes to, and this is one thing I guess everyone kind of hears about with any crypto IRA platform or any financial institution that has fees. Now, me personally, I think iTrustCapital has by far the lowest. And so, can you kind of, without getting into too much detail, of course, kind of break that down? Because just if we made a quick comparison, of course, Coinbase is a complete centralized exchange that offers crypto, whereas iTrustCapital is a alternative IRA platform that offers cryptos that you can buy, right? But the fees are lower on iTrust compared to Coinbase. So can you just kind of briefly talk about that for the viewers that say, well, man, the fees seem kind of high on iTrustCapital. So just kind of break that down for us.
I think for people who come from the legacy financial space, right? You've had a regular IRA or you had a brokerage account for your whole life. Trading is free, right? These fees are coming out of left field. But for someone who has had an alternative asset IRA, so people that have had physical gold in their IRA or have had real estate in their IRA, they completely understand that there are administrative costs that go along with having an alternative asset IRA like this. Especially one like ours, where our clients can take physical distributions in crypto if they see so fit, right? So they can actually take distributions, we'll send the Bitcoin or Ethereum or any of the assets on the platform to a crypto wallet of their choice. And that's something that's just not easy to do within an IRA, right? And I think when you look at Coinbase and you look at those other places, a Gemini, for example, there's a reason why they don't have an IRA offering. Even a place like Robinhood's another good example. They don't have an IRA offering. And that's purely just because having an IRA platform is really hard. And that's just it's a result of the government, and I think that's a good thing because the government wants to make sure that this is done compliantly and that everyone's following their rules. But at the same time, for a place like other companies that don't necessarily want to have customer support or a good way to call in or even schedule a call, they aren't necessarily going to want to get into the IRA space. Whereas what we've undertaken is certainly a lot more complicated, and there are just fees and costs that go along with that. So it just kind of comes down to us prioritizing making those fees as low and competitive as possible.
Yeah, absolutely. Well said. Well said. And this is why we have people like this on the channel.
For
And
sure. And
so,
then when you also look at the competition as well, we really stand out. And there's a lot of people that have a crypto IRA that are paying extraordinary fees, and they just want to be able to come to us so they can park the assets for a flat monthly rate.
yeah, yeah. And so, another interesting question that you hear the most when people say, well, crypto's the best performing asset class. I don't need to put it in the IRA to make $1 million, right? Which is most likely true. Absolutely. I would agree. But at the same time, when we look at the importance of having tax free benefits, and we all know if you're investing in crypto, most likely I would agree, or you would agree, that you believe blockchain and crypto is the future, right? And so if it is the future, why wouldn't you want to save some of your wealth instead of give it all away? And so, kind of playing devil advocates here for the people that say, well, do I really need an IRA to have this amount of money? But kind of explain the importance of having it with this best performing asset class as it's shown in the past decade.
Good question. So I talk a lot about diversification with clients, not just diversification with your assets, but diversification in the taxability of your assets. So if you own Bitcoin or Ethereum, let's just use the top two as easy examples. You own it in a regular Coinbase or brokerage account, and then you feel like the market is getting a bit overbought because the crypto market is quite volatile, and just like we've experienced down, we will experience up. And if you feel like the market's getting overbought, a lot of people do want to take some risk off the table. If not sell it all, at least sell some, because you want to have some money to potentially buy the dip. if you do that in your Coinbase account, you're going to get hit with capital gains, whether it's short term or long term. So if you've held that Bitcoin or Ethereum for less than a year, you're going to be hit potentially state, local, federal government, all those taxes up to 40, 50% in some states. If you do that same trade in your IRA, it's tax free. You don't even report that trade to the government. So let's look at an example. If you make a trade and you think that you're selling the top, and then you end up really not selling the top, well, you're going to be thinking about that and the fact that you're going to get taxed on the back end from that trade. Whereas if you do it in your IRA, well, it's just not nearly as risky, because even though you didn't time that trade perfectly, it's still in your IRA. You're not going to be hit with the additional capital gains. That's huge. And when you watch like CNBC, Fox Business, Bloomberg, you'll have people who come on all the time that mention the little fun fact that most trading in the United States and the world goes down in tax deferred retirement accounts.
And that's big. I mean, that's huge. And honestly, I believe when we look at the big institutional players, we look at all the money flow. They understand how much money is coming into crypto. And I give you a prime example, Jared. And if you disagree, that's fine. But I'll give you a prime example. If we look at the potential tax bill that Biden put out, where if you earn over $1 million, right, in capital gains, well, if we look at this, let's just be logical for a second. What asset class is that truly targeting? Crypto. You're not going to gain $1 million in a year unless you're dealing with a substantial amount of money in the stock market. You're not going to get that in the precious metals market, not even in Forex. So where's that targeting? Crypto, because this is the greatest wealth transfer in history. And so if you have the ability to save your wealth, and hopefully you're setting yourself up for your kids and their kids, hopefully, because with crypto, we truly have that ability. That's why it's important, for an IRA in crypto.
Absolutely. And also, one of the first lessons that you learn in crypto is about time preference. What is your time preference? Most people walk around life very high time preference. They want things now, now, now. The optimal way to go about life is more low time preference, but more along the answer is always somewhere in between, right? So you want to have some low time preference elements of your life and high time preference. So all the power to you if you want to have that non-retirement account. I have a lot of assets I invest in are in non-retirement accounts for sure. But diversification is key. You want to have a little bit of everything.
Yeah, for sure. And so if there's anything that we didn't just dig in on that maybe you wanted to touch on a little bit more on, you got the floor right now, Jared, to go ahead and kind of
Mhm.
touch on something.
Yeah, no, thank you. I think that the important thing to keep in mind with our platform is it's conducive for all sorts of investors. So it's conducive for hodlers. It's conducive for people who want to trade, not necessarily day trading, but for weekly trading. If clients feel like they have the opportunity, one asset's going to outperform another one, they can go ahead and make those trades 24/7. So ultimately, I think that's the most important thing to keep in mind about our platform is there's really a space for everyone. If you feel like you're newer to crypto, you're more experienced, the platform is really conducive for you. If you want to trade, or if you just want to hold and kind of ride out the market and just log into your account a few times a year, we're more than happy to have you as well.
Yeah, great. And so one question I wanted to ask you. So I know at some point, I believe iTrustCapital mentioned this. Is iTrustCapital at some point going to lower kind of the deposit limits? Because I know at one time, I believe it's like what, $1,000 at one time, or you can break it up to like 500 and 500. But so at any time, is that going to happen in the future, or maybe in 2021 or in 2022, that limit will be lowered?
I wouldn't rule anything out. There's nothing that I'm aware of right now, or that I've been made aware of that we're making any changes on that front. But I do know that we're bringing on so many people, whether it be client experience, people who are helping out with the administration, or engineers and developers are just so mission critical that I can't rule anything out in the future, right? So something like direct deposit would address directly what it is that you just asked, right? The idea just to be able to plug in via API to a bank would be very, very easy for everyone involved, but it's less easy, a lot more complicated when it comes to implementing. So definitely appreciate that. That's a really good question. Nothing clear to answer with it though.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And so I guess for anyone looking to reach out to iTrustCapital or just kind of learn more about iTrustCapital, of course, they can go to the website, but let's say they wanted to get a little bit more deeper insight. What would be a good way to reach out to the iTrustCapital team?
Yeah, I would recommend just scheduling a call through our dashboard. Just go to itrustcapital.com. You'll have the option to read our material, but also to schedule a time to speak with a member of our team. You might end up speaking with me. That would be great. You might end up speaking with someone else. We're all phenomenal. And that's the best way to go ahead and get introduced. And then after you have that introductory call, you'll be more set up to potentially drive this thing yourself, and then you'll be able to come back to us as often as you need with questions along the way. But we really want to empower our clients to be able to get in there and be able to navigate and run their digital asset trading plan by themselves.
Yeah, absolutely. And so I don't have any other questions for you. Definitely would like to have you on again in the future. Any big updates, any big news, of course, we can make it happen. Bring it back on, Jared. If there's anything that you want to tell the viewers or anything like that, feel free to.
Yeah, no, I thank you so much for having me. I really enjoyed kind of watching different segments of the show and how you go about walking your viewers through the crypto world. I mean, it's a new journey every single day, and I would encourage everyone to just keep pushing themselves to learn. I never stop when it comes to picking up on something on Twitter or on a video that I watch, and then just doing a deep dive YouTube vortex to try to learn more about it. And I would encourage everyone to just be relentless to learn more about this space, but also do what you think makes the most sense for you and your family as well from a financial planning standpoint.
Absolutely, absolutely, Jared. Thanks again. And then, real quick, I want to give just a quick shout out. Hey, if you have like a Twitter handle, give Jared a follow. Where can they follow you at, Jared?
J Feldman 452 on Twitter. You can find me there. You got a bunch of stuff on crypto, and other little tidbits on what's going on in the world as well.
Awesome, awesome. Well, Jared, thanks again for coming on, man, and have a blessed rest of the day.
You too. Thank you so much.
All right, crypto investors. So that's the interview between myself and Jared Feldman, member of the iTrustCapital team. I definitely think it's important to have diversification and have a way to save on taxes with so much wealth coming into the cryptocurrency space. Now, if you do want to check out iTrustCapital for yourself, use the promo code Mike the Investor, all one word, and you'll get 1 month free to check it out for yourself. And so if you are already part of the channel, or maybe you're not, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. I have some more intelligent people that will be coming on the channel that I can't wait to bring it to the community. So definitely stay tuned. Hit the subscribe button, hit the bell icon as well, so that way you get those notifications when those interviews come out. And before getting out of here, definitely consider connecting with me at Mike the Investor at Twitter and Instagram. Also be aware of the fakes and spammers out there. Appreciate all the support. Remember to always stay inspired, stay motivated, and of course, always invest in yourself. And I'll see you guys back next time.